Woe to the shepherds who are destroying and scattering the sheep of my pasture. Therefore, this is what the Lord thy God of Israel says to the shepherds who tend my people. Because you have scattered my flock, you've driven them away, and you have not cared for them, I will bestow punishment upon you for the evil that you have done. Welcome back to the No Sin Zone. This is the place where we discuss kingdom principles and how God sees the world, how he sees us, and how we should behave in the world. The prophet Jeremiah wrote those harsh words to the religious leaders of the day who were self-serving pastors that cared nothing for their flock, but focused on what's in it for me. I don't think anything has changed in 3,000 years. The Apostle James wrote this: those who consider themselves religious and yet do not keep a tight rein on their tongue, and they deceive themselves, and their religion is worthless. Deceitful, mocking, denigrating, and wholly manipulative speech emanates from the mouths of many false prophets, teachers, and wolves in sheep's clothing.
That have been here for 20 plus years come and say that they're thinking about going somewhere else because they no longer agree with pastors' politics. When did politics have anything to do with the kingdom?
First of all, none of y'all know what my politics are. Not one of you. God put me out here to stand in the middle between the left and the right and call you both out, because you're both wrong. You're both racist.
And that's the problem, is that everybody's loyal to leadership until they tell you something you don't want to hear.
When you do say, God said, God told me, there's vanity involved. That's one of the things that you talked about. There is vanity built into that, because what I'm doing is I'm leveraging that. I mean, how can you argue with me when God said it? God said it.
Proverbs 15:4 says, the soothing tongue is a tree of life, but a perverse tongue crushes the spirit. There are numerous major ministries and mega churches that are being crashed right now because people in the body of Christ, we the believers, have put these people on pedestals. We've set them up above us. We've taken them at their word that it must be true. We've given them our money, and we haven't asked for an accounting. But God said judgment begins in the house of the Lord first. And in this day, we are watching the judgment of the Lord with his sickle coming through the churches. Sexual perversions, the love of money, and coercion and manipulation of the sheep are now crashing down these pedestals we put them on. Millionaire ministries, megalithic TV evangelists, mega churches with tens of thousands of so-called members who never ever get to meet the pastor one-on-one. These dynasties are on the chopping block because God is bringing his judgment.
Tonight, the founder of one of North Texas's most prominent megachurches is facing child sex charges. Hello, everybody. I'm Heather Hayes.
And I'm Steve Eager. It's 9 o'clock. An Oklahoma grand jury indicted Gateway Church founder Robert Morris on 5 felony counts. The allegations emerged in June of last year when the Christian Post published a woman's story alleging she was abused by Morris starting at the age of 12. The church first said it was aware of Morris's past, quote, moral failure, then later said it did not know her age, the victim's age, or the extent of the abuse. 3 days later, Morris resigned from Gateway. In November, Gateway announced it removed multiple elders who knew the victim's age at the time of the abuse, and now Morris is facing those criminal charges. Casey Stiegel in studio with the developing story case.
For the past several months, Daystar TV has been embroiled in controversy involving allegations of covering up SA, spiritual abuse, and financial misconduct. And many are wondering what really goes on at this supposed Christian network. Today, a former assistant to Marcus and Joni Lamb gives a revealing inside account.
Although these and many other church leaders may be guilty of unspeakable behaviors, the reality is that the fault of their crumbling empires rests with us. We are responsible for this as much as they are. Why? Because we have erected pedestals instead of being on our knees before an altar. We have elevated someone in the midst of us above the others. You know, the Lord does not take kindly to this. First of all, he says, I am the Lord thy God. I will have no strange gods before me. He does not permit the worship of man. And we, the people, have created celebrity pastors because we don't test the spirit of what is being said. We do not question them on their leadership. Did God even call them to be a pastor? Whenever you elevate a pastor, an elder, or anyone in the congregation above yourself, you have set up a pedestal for worship. Ask yourself this: do I esteem my pastor and elders higher than others? We must remember what the Lord has told us from the scriptures. He said, assuredly, I say to you, that among those born of women, there has not risen one greater than John the Baptist. But he who is least in the kingdom is greater than he. Well,